This paper was presented at the JCT Traffic Signal Symposium 2025. Video coverage of this paper is provided by Highways News and sponsored by Mobius Networks, AGD, Smart Micro UK, TRL Software, Traffic Group Signals, AD Electronics, and Four-Way Consulting.
Right, thank you all. So I kept the title vague because I didn't really know until a couple of days what I was going to be talking about. And that isn't because of my inability to know what I'm talking about, although it could be that. It's because we're doing quite a lot of policy work at the moment around connected vehicles. So it's quite a live area. So I kept this as late as I could. Actually, in terms of JCT seeing my email, I kept it a little bit too late, but I did that to allow me to talk to you in some detail about some quite interesting policy work we're doing around connected vehicles. But I just want to start with a quick update first, because that's what I said I would do. I don't need to talk about TSOG or TSOG or whatever it was and GLF anymore, because it's been perfectly done by Rotherham. The key fact there is that we're now at the end of the programme, but the thing I've been talking about quite regularly through the programme is that we intend to do after evaluation. And this is picking up on the work that Rotherham had done, but doing it to a level that satisfies the Treasury, doing it as a proper government analysis of the impact, both the outturn impact of actually what do you get for the money, and the outcome impact, what difference does it make? Because that's really useful. And if we want more TSOG and GLF money in the future, writing a business case that works for Treasury is absolutely the way to do that. So my colleague Martin Rooney, who is here, hopefully will be leading some work around that. So those of you that have delivered schemes, please tell us about that. We have a new TTF website called the TTF Gateway. If you're a local authority, if you've delivered funding, you should have access to that. That is a place to update your details of schemes you've delivered. Please go off and do that. And as it says, evaluation will start soon. ITS World Congress is now less than 800 days away. Andy, how many days away exactly is the World Congress?
776.
There you go. Yeah, 775 actually. No, it's not. This is, as was said earlier, that this is absolutely our chance to show the world how good we are at the stuff we're doing, that we all know we're good at, that we're all talking about here. It's not that far away. We absolutely want as many of you as possible to be involved in that and show the world, once in a generational opportunity to show the world just how good we are, but also to learn what other countries are doing, because the whole world will be there with us. Some data developments that you may be aware of. So DTRO, the Digital Traffic Regulation Order project, is continuing to public beta. Those of you that are interested in that, so those of you that have been providing data or want to provide data into DTRO, your opportunity will come. DSIS, the Digital Controller Information Standard, the work that Andy's been leading around building a digital model of how we define traffic signal controllers, will be expanding soon. Again, opportunity to be involved in that. And DVS, the Digital Vehicle Standards work, the Connected Services Framework, is developing. And this is what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the Digital Vehicle Services Framework. So what is it? Well, almost as if there was some planning, which there certainly wasn't. Steve, I think, really teed me up well for this morning. So that shows we're on the same wavelength, which is worrying for one of us. Not sure who. This is about connected services. This is about thinking about the future. This is about thinking of the fact that vehicles now produce data in far larger amounts than ever they did before. Vehicles have far more computing power than ever they did before. They are far more connected than ever they were before. They have better human-machine interfaces. They have better screens in them and better capability of displaying information than ever they used to. And it's not just vehicles. We see apps like Strava. We see apps that other road users use. We see apps particularly targeted at people with visibility problems and mobility problems. There is a lot of data out there. We see data being developed by vehicles. We see automotive companies wanting to sell data. We see solutions like Fusion and MyCity that we're going to be hearing a lot about in the next 2 days, have the ability to share data, collect data, process data in new ways. So connected services really are something we need to be thinking about. And connected services are not like autonomous vehicles, which might be next year, but actually practically on a large scale are probably a good few years away. Connected data is now. It's here now. Vehicles are capable of providing and using data now, and we are building systems that can process that data now. One of the problems we've got with connected services is, against autonomy, is we can all imagine what a Google pod is. We might not believe it will ever actually exist. We might not believe it's a thing that will ever really take to the road, but we can understand what one is. And that gives That gives us a kind of point to aim on the horizon. We all kind of know what autonomy means. We don't really have that same view of connectivity. It's quite a disparate group of potential opportunities. So, the Digital Vehicle Services Framework that we're developing is a big piece of policy work in government to define what we mean by connected services, define what they should be, define what users should expect from them, to give us some clarity as a sector about where we're trying to get to with that, to give us some clarity as government in terms of what we should be thinking about in policy terms, in terms of legislation, in terms of funding, to help the sector think about what R&D is useful, what products are potentially useful, because what products will fit into this model of services, and to give local authorities some clarities as to how connected services may be useful in delivering wider objectives, to basically give us all something to look at in terms of the future. So we think about connected vehicles. And we've heard about connected vehicles before, and as I say, vehicles are becoming increasingly connected. They can generate, transmit and receive data, but it's not just about vehicles, it's about all road users, and this is another point that was made earlier. So we don't talk about connected vehicles, we talk about connected services, applications aimed at all users. What are the services that we as road users will expect in our vehicles, on our apps, on our devices in 10 years' time? What are the services that we as road user operators will be expect to be able to deploy in our control rooms and to our contractors in 10 years' time? That's all based around the types of data that we have and the types of computational power we have. So what we're trying to do is define what that list could look like. Connected services will want to use their preferred channels to receive high quality information relative to their needs. People ultimately won't care how technology works because people never really do. People will care about the thing it does for them, the service it provides, the roadworks it allows them to avoid, the car park space it allows them to find faster, the accident or stopped vehicle on the motorway they can be told about more quickly. As operators, we may care about technology as operators because we are technology people, but fundamentally it's about how can I maintain my roads faster, better? How can I implement a better risk-based system for asset management? How can I know more about where congestion is? Those are the services that we need to define. So the framework we're building provides for that. It provides a way of thinking about services. It provides a way of thinking about how we deliver better services to users. It provides a way of allowing us to order services into groups around things that can be done now, things that can be done later, things that are very hard that we'll do in the future, things that require new comms, things that require new ways of working, new ways of funding. We can group services into groups in different ways to allow us to start to deliver better services. Comms, for example, is a good example. By doing this, it allows us to have a more sensible conversation with Ofcom and with the mobile network operators about what we need the mobile networks to do to deliver better transport services. And in the past, it's been, quite a wide-ranging, unfocused discussion. By defining the services that we want to deliver more accurately, we can have that conversation better. So we want to think about services in different streams. And again, this was hit on earlier, the difference between infrastructure to vehicle and vehicle to infrastructure, which is important because fundamentally, vehicle to infrastructure services will be delivered primarily by vehicle manufacturers. They will build services, they will build technology into their vehicles that allows the vehicle to do things that will provide data into the network. eCall is a good example of that. eCall is a technology that exists in a vehicle that allows a service to be delivered to make that vehicle easy to find when it has an accident. Stream 2. Stream 1, infrastructure to vehicles, are the services that we as road operators should be interested in because there are a whole range of things we can do that start with the infrastructure. We as road operators know, or we should know, where congestion is. We know, or we should know, what our traffic signals are doing. We as operators should know where roadworks are. We have lots of data in the infrastructure that can be shared into vehicles to provide users with a better experience, with an easier path to use the network. So those two streams are good ways of thinking about it. We as infrastructure providers will deal with services that exist there. Automotive, there are a whole lot of things they could be doing which are of use to us and relevant to us, but that's automotive to lead. And then two-way connectivity, stream 3. This is about services that link vehicles to vehicles, such as very high speed data transfer to one about emergency braking and other things that will happen within vehicles. And if any of you are looking to be able to afford a new top-of-the-range Mercedes, you will already have some of that technology in it. There's a whole range of services there that are not particularly to do with government and us as infrastructure operators, but will come along. But it's these two streams here that we're particularly interested in it. And it's how they allow us to do things like understand more about the geometry of the network, provide strategic information to users about roadworks and disruption, provide tactical information such as Glosser, incident management, vulnerable road user and blue light warning, those types of services that are already operating in some parts of Europe and are already well demonstrated, the things that we can provide in vehicles now with better infrastructure. the vehicle data can provide information about road conditions, about travel times, about e-call, collisions. It can support digital twins and public transport priority and modelling and a whole range of other things predicated around better information from vehicles. And both of those are interested in different ways. Stream 1 is about what we do to prepare our systems to provide data. Stream 2 is what we do to prepare our system to receive data and make use of it. And of course, some of this is already happening. SatNav is a connected vehicle service. We know about optimized traffic systems and public transport priority. Safety-related traffic information, again, is a connected service. EV charging and enhanced maintenance are services that again, maybe fit in the infrastructure, in the vehicle, maybe fit in the two-way, but there are systems out there now that are connected services. The problem with most of them is they're delivered in either slightly or very proprietary ways, and what we need to do is unlock that by converting them into open standards, open ways of connecting data. These are some of the things that we should be able to deliver fairly quickly in vehicle signage. We've probably all seen that being demonstrated. How do we build that as a service that's applicable to all? How do we build that in an open way that all vehicles and all users can consume? Glosser, again, lots of trials of that. How do we start to embed that as a core function of how we manage the network? Same with roadworks warning and hazard locations. What would an end user service, how would you describe a service that does that? And then public transport and asset management, again, we can do that. There are companies out there selling it. There are companies in the room today selling technology around that. How would you do that in an open way that's usable by all authorities and by all users? So the way we do that is we do that by thinking about use cases. There are a number of use cases, maybe 7 or 8, to do with services that are collected around informing users, services that are collected around asset management, services that are collected around how we think about vehicle management and maintenance, how we think about freight and logistics. There are a number of quite large areas that we could provide, sort of large policy or kind of transport areas where we could provide services. And the DVS framework thinks about those areas, and it defines the areas that as a country we're interested in, and there are a few of them, there are about 7 of them. I'm not going to go into great detail about what the framework says at the moment, because what I intend to do is a fairly slow reveal. As we do policy development work between now and Christmas, we will reveal more of this as it develops. The purpose of this is really to give you a feeling of the approach that we're taking to thinking about connected services. Within each use case, there are groups of services. So if the use case we're thinking about is data into vehicles to provide better service or better information to road users, better information to drivers or whatever, within that, there are a number of groups of services that we can provide services, I say, around managing roadworks, about managing congestion, about understanding vehicles, vulnerable road users, blue light vehicles, public transport vehicles that are around us. You can group services together. And we're starting to build that list now. We're starting to build that list that encompasses all of this at the moment. And then you get the actual services. Actual plain English descriptions of a service that people will expect to be able to deliver. And that's key because that allows politicians, it allows councillors, it allows the public, it allows all of us to understand in very clear terms what are the services. And that could be a long list. There could be 200 or 300 different things you could describe in plain English that vehicles should be able to support, that apps that we use that should be able to support, that should be able to be delivered as services into control rooms. You can produce a long list of that, but once we have that long list, then we can start to think about which of them we want to fund. If we were to announce funding, which we may not very soon, if we were to announce funding, what services would we want to see delivered? How would we want to do that? How would we want to start to build the systems, the architectures and the standards to enable us to do that? And this is kind of where we are now. This is the state we're at the moment. We're at the state now of thinking about how we populate that model. Because doing that quickly gets us to a point where we can start to have conversations about what connected services actually mean and what they will actually deliver, and start to talk about that in a real way, and use it as a way of targeting funding in the future for how we deliver these services. So just as a taster, going back to the user groups, they are the user groups that we are thinking about. This work is all predicated on work that's been done across Europe. So one of the other reasons for doing this is to map the things we want to do in the UK with the things that happen across Europe. Because as we know, vehicles are made to a common standard across Europe. The vehicles that we get might have the steering wheel on the correct side, but fundamentally they are European standard vehicles. So the list as it develops will map against European standards, because that then gives us access to the detailed technical standards that platforms such as TISA and TNITS and NAPCOR and others that are funded by the European Union, they've developed detailed technical standards that we should access, because we don't need to redefine all that. There are standards frameworks out there that we can build into our way of developing national standards. So we're starting to think about those use cases, and over the next few months, we'll start to reveal our thinking about what the services underneath that actually look like. This will be continuing from now until probably January, and there will be lots of opportunities. I will be speaking at various events and peeling bits of more off this as we develop more policy work, but there will be an opportunity later in the year for some quite detailed workshops to help us finalise that list of the services that we think connected vehicles should be able to deliver for us as operators and as road users. So, thank you.
And thank you, Darren. Thank you very much. We'll take one quick question, but I'm afraid you've driven a coach and horses through me programme. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you, Darren. Alistair Gollop. Really good to hear that you're actually doing something proactive around this. I've just written a piece about the issues of how vehicle companies are getting ahead of the ITS industry, basically. So these proprietary commercial systems are ahead of us, so we need to catch up. But I think working with clients in the Stream 1 section, I2V, one of the biggest problems at the moment is actually working out the comms requirements to actually work across the board with various companies. VW will use G5, but Mercedes and Ford, etc., are not in that at all. So we really need to drive that. Do we really have the leverage to actually move them commercially to adopt these standards?
I think it's possible. I think if as a country we actually had a defined framework that would allow those conversations to at least happen, whereas at the moment those conversations are very difficult. So I think this is, in our opinion, the best way of achieving that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent, thanks. Sorry, time marches on.
I'll be around at the...